a street or a business that had gone on in the last 40 years in South Wichita that he did not know intimately. So unfortunately, right around New Year's, he did pass away. I was able to make it to his wake and visit with family, and I tell you, it was a little jarring seeing pictures of young Paul, especially out there dirt racing, and he led a nice long life, and he was just a really solid dude who would give you off the shirt off of your back if you needed it at the time. So I just request that we start this meeting with a moment of silence for Paul.
Sorry we're late, just got a call.
Thank you guys for that. And I did see you guys, or somebody, some fire representatives, on the way over going down Pawnee there, so.
Oh, bless.
Yeah, yeah, we know you guys are always busy, so thank you guys for showing up. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. Skip over approval for minutes and, agenda right now. So we'll start off with the staff reports from the fire department.
Okay, good evening, I'm Captain Evans, Captain of Firehouse 22 on A shift. We did start a new class of, 23 recruits in January. So they're a couple weeks in, doing well so far. From the time of December 20th to January 19th, where there was an origin and cause of investigation, there were 25 fire scenes, resulting in damages, and this is citywide, damages exceeding an estimated 1.24 million. Of those, there were 3 vacant structure fires during this time frame, with 4 of the structure fires being the result of squatters. So continues to be an issue in our neighborhoods that we're trying to work through, and our FIU is doing a good job trying to keep those under wrap. We have 11 fire engines and 1 truck on order. The first is expected delivered in late 2025, and the remaining units delivered from 2026 through 2028. And then our community risk reduction division is doing a good job keeping the public updated through our social media. So you can certainly find any information you want from there. That wraps it up, sir.
All right,
Questions?
any questions from Dad?
Yes, ma'am.
Your class is 23, that's
Correct.
the number. Are there women or do you know?
I do not know the makeup of the class currently.
I'd like to know.
Okay, I'll find out and get an answer to your council
Thank you.
member here.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
I do have a question. You guys go out on gas pipe leaks. If someone reports a gas line, should we just do that through the city? And we call you guys as well?
If someone calls 911, we'll respond to gas leaks.
Okay. Should they call 911 or should they call?
If it's an outside gas leak, I would call 911 in case we need to do any air monitoring or evacuation while the gas company works on the line.
We've had a couple issues last month. There was a gas leak underneath the house from rusty pipe that kind of snapped off.
Sure.
And it took like 4 hours to get a good response from the city and through our people, between the member calling in our office and yada, yada, yada. It could have been catastrophic.
Right. They should call 911
Okay.
if there's a gas leak under a house.
Okay, thank you.
Any further questions from Dad? Any questions from the public? All right, well, we appreciate everything you guys do.
Absolutely.
Like we've seen plenty of times here that you guys will be running out at a moment's notice, and so we're always thinking of you and always thanking you guys for
Appreciate it.
the service that you give.
So thank you for your support for our department. I played a big role in helping us out, so we appreciate it.
I appreciate that. It's all you guys. I'm just a pretty face that takes the credit. All right, you
All
guys, thank you guys.
All right, thank you. Have a good evening.
All right, next up, we have reports from WPD. Officer Jensen, take it away, sir.
Yes, hello, happy to be here. So just a few things. First and foremost, we just graduated a recruit class. They're in the FTO phase. And we also have started our new class, which has 28 recruits, 7 of which are female. So we have a quarter of the class is female. Very excited about that. Statistically, doing very well. This past month and quarter, we've been steadily declining in every category. The one category that's kind of held steady and gone up just a little bit is theft. And as we've looked into those, the biggest thing that we see is 90% of them are crimes of opportunity. People are leaving things in their vehicles still. People are leaving things unlocked. So we continue to encourage people, citizens, and everybody to make sure you take things out of your vehicle. Don't let anything be seen in them, and then making sure things are locked up, garage doors are shut, things like that. That way you guys don't have to be victims of a theft and have, money out of your pocket and things of that nature. Just recently, we on the south side, our community policing team assisted the west side and the fire marshal with the closing of the Economy Lodge, which was a tall task, but something that we feel is going to be very beneficial in just helping clean up that portion in that area. And then with the new year, a couple of things that we're doing is we're just really focusing on community engagement for this upcoming year, making sure that we as officers are getting out and doing as much as we can in a positive light with the citizens in the community. And then we're also preparing for the NCAA tournament that will be coming here at the end of March, making sure that we have everything set up so everybody can be safe, they can have a great time, and that we can represent Wichita in the best light possible, as it's obviously broadcast nationally and even internationally. So those are the things that we're really focusing on, and things that are kind of taking up our time. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions from Dan? Any questions from the audience? No, sir, you got off easy today, officer.
Excellent. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you, and the same thing to you, sir. Yeah, we appreciate all you do for us and
Absolutely.
be safe. Thank you. All right, before we get to the library, for those of you who are just joining us, we have treats over there, cookies. I like to keep you guys happy as much as I can before you yell at me, so plenty of food over there. I'd also like to welcome Rick Lindsay to our district advisory board. He's been known in the community for a while. He moved, you're Schweider now?
That's correct.
Yeah, you were more on the west side of the district for a while, but then moved to Schweider not too long ago, and
I lived on Meade. I was there for, the last time I was there was 6 years ago. And then I moved over to Lincoln and George Washington area.
yeah. Well, thank you to our district advisory board. We thank you for spending Wednesday evenings once a month with us. We're family here, so welcome, and I hope to have more members here to introduce you to next time. But we have had a couple of vacancies here in the last 2 months, so we'll make sure to get that filled. But thank you, Rick, for joining our district advisory board.
Thank you.
All right, now we have Robin with our libraries. She's going to give our library staff report.
Yes, like Mike said, please go get some treats, because you'll have to bear with me today. I have like 3 pages. It's a lot more updates than normal, but I'll try to get through it fast. So first thing, on February 1st, at the beginning of the month, the Parent-Child Workshop Series began. Parents and caregivers with children between ages 1 and 3 can register to attend a weekly play session from 10:30 to 11:30 on Saturday throughout February at the Advanced Learning Library. And community resource specialists will be available to answer questions about childhood development, providing a low barrier and stress-free way for parents to discuss their children's literacy, speech, hearing, nutrition, movement, and more. And they told me there's still room available to sign up. You can visit wichitalibrary.org/events or call 316-261-8516 to register. February is Black History Month, and Black history and contributions are often only celebrated during this month. That's why the library is partnering with Dr. Latasha Kelly, who's the owner of Left on Red, Wichita's only Black-owned bookstore, to host a year-long series honoring Black culture titled Amplify 365. Each quarter, Dr. Kelly will be hosting a different event focused on a different aspect of the Black experience, offering a mix of presentations, panel discussions, interactive sessions, and more. To kick off the series, Dr. Kelly will present a keynote lecture at the ALL on February 19th at 6 p.m. on how to foster more meaningful engagement with the Black community by consistently honoring Black experiences all year. February is also American Heart Month, and the library has partnered with the Casey Research and Extension Office of Sedgwick County and American Heart Association for a Heart Healthy series of programs focusing on maintaining cardiovascular wellness. Events are as follows. We have Let's Get Down with Blood Pressure, which is 5:30 p.m. on February 6th, so tomorrow at the Walters Branch Library. We have Nutrition and Fitness for Cardiovascular Wellness at 10:30 on February 11th at the ALL. No Diabetes by Heart is 10:30 a.m. on February 18th, also at the ALL. And then another session of Let's Get Down with Blood Pressure at 10:03 a.m. on February 25th at the ALL. On February 22nd, the Popular Academy Awards shorts will be kicking off its 39th year. Each year, the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences nominates 5 short films in the live action, animation, and documentary categories. Since 1986, the Wichita Public Library has been proudly screening each of the nominated short films. Screenings will take place at the Advanced Learning Library and Evergreen Community Center and Library throughout that week, with all-day screenings of all the films taking place on Saturday, February 22nd and March 1st at the Advanced Learning Library. All Wichita Public Library branches will be closed on Monday, February 17th and observed as President's Day. And now for Walters updates specifically, family story times in full swing again. Come every Tuesday morning at 11:30 to have fun while feeding your child develop early literacy skills. We hosted another all ages game night yesterday on February 4th from 4:30 to 6:30. Our next gaming program will actually be afternoon board games from 12:30 to 2:30 on Saturday, March 1st. Every Wednesday morning in February, Walters is hosting a knitting group. Come and enjoy the classic needle arts in the company of others who share a love of knitting, crocheting, cross stitch, and weaving. All skill levels are welcome. Also, every Wednesday evening in February, we're having Next Step Alliance partner and come to the Walters Branch for help with digital skills. This is a drop-in program from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. On February 11th at 5:30 p.m., we'll have a Feeding Backyard Birds presentation, and afterwards, the first 20 attendees will have the chance to make their own pine cone bird feeder. February 13th and February 27th, we'll have chess and its variations from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Each session will start with a short lecture with the rest of the time dedicated to playing. And February 14th, there will be a Valentine's book bingo for ages 5 to 18. Listening for letters and numbers is great practice for early readers and fun for everyone. And then 2 last things. Our February document talk will be on the 25th from 5 to 6:45. In honor of Black History Month, Birthing Justice addresses issues fueling the maternal health crisis within the Black community while advocating for birth and equity for all women. A brief discussion will follow this showing. And last but not least, there will be a Computers for Beginners course on Thursday, February 27th at 2. We'll cover the basics of how to use a computer, including using a mouse and navigating the Microsoft Windows operating system. Any questions for me from the DAB?
I had a question,
Yes.
like the all ages game night, I know it's not the
Yes.
first time. Has it been successful or how's that being measured? Is it one person?
It started out with a higher attendance during the summer when the kids were off school. Now that school's back in session and it's also getting darker and colder a little bit earlier, we've had less attendance. That's why we are gonna try on Saturday afternoons to see if we can get more families in, because we've had more like attendance at other family programs during those times. So we're
Okay, so
gonna
it's changed from like
try on
during the week
Saturday.
to Saturday, okay.
Yeah, I want to thank you for the bee thing you guys do with grassland groupies last week. That was really cool. And on the thing with how many seats will be open for the basics on computer skills?
I believe they're capping it at 20. There still are seats available as of last time I checked today.
I know some seniors that really need some basics on some of that. Really, if I can get them over there, that would be beneficial.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Questions from the public? All right, well, you might see me at the knitting class. I need to
Yeah.
make sure I have extra skills after I get voted out later this year.
Oh, no.
The bee
Sounds
thing
like
was
you're
cool. I
playing
can get it
me.
like that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
We watched a movie about bees we don't have in Kansas.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Robin, for everything you do. That's my journey and our thing right here, and we have it right here in the third district, so, thank you. All right, we'll move on to public agenda. We have no scheduled items. Is there anybody here who'd like to speak to an off agenda? item? We'll get to that one. All right, actually, we will get to that one now. So we'll go ahead and we're gonna skip over number 6 for now. Again, hope that we have a form. If not, we'll delay that, but we will move on to the golf cart one. So. Dan? Yeah, take it away.
I am Jan Jarman. I'm a deputy city attorney. I've been with the city of Wichita since 1997. Spring brings with it phone calls about golf carts. I work up in the city attorney's office and I get about half a dozen a year from people asking if they're legal. And I get about the same number from people complaining about people in neighborhoods who buy them. And I know that people were surprised when this ordinance came up, and I tell you, if you've been watching the news on it anyway, it was a surprise to us that it was controversial, because we felt that most people were in favor of golf carts in light of the number of calls we get, people who want to know if you can drive them in the neighborhood. So, prior to the ordinance that we proposed to city council, it's illegal to drive a golf cart on city streets in the city of Wichita. And it has been illegal ever since I've been here and prior to that. So we set about looking at ordinances from other cities and trying to figure out how we can make them legal and do it in a way that makes sense, that'll keep everyone safe. And so we came up with an ordinance. I'm gonna go over like kind of highlights of the ordinance, but I will say that probably it's changing already, and that's why we're taking it to DABS. Once we realized that the public that there were some people in the public who weren't keen on the ideas that they had some other ideas. We're going to the DABS, getting those ideas, and we'll take them back to council and see what council wants to do in terms of changing. So what I'm presenting to you is what we presented to the city council, and it's already kind of changing in nature. So. Oh, I thought you did. Thanks.
Oh, I can do it.
No, it's great. I'd rather do it.
Okay.
Okay, so, yeah, KSA 815-1008 says that you can't drive a golf cart on a city street unless the city makes it legal, which is what we've set out to do, try to make it legal. And golf carts are obviously, I already told you, they're prohibited in the city at this time. So, our ordinance at this time has suggested that we allow golf carts on certain city streets, and that would be on streets that are 30 miles per hour or less. So the people who want to drive them in the neighborhoods, and already do, frankly, we decided that we would follow state law, follow the lead there, and allow them on 30 mile per hour streets. We also wanted to restrict them in the core area of Wichita, and we're actually going to debate or let council debate what the core area is. We suggest that it would be from Murdoch to Hydraulic, from Kellogg to Seneca. Mainly, that's already a congested area, and it's an area where you see a lot of accidents. And the last thing we want are accidents where golf carts are involved, because they're not safe vehicles. I mean, the reason we put some restrictions on golf carts in the first place is they don't have the same safety structure. If you are in an accident with a vehicle, you're going to lose if you're in a golf cart. So we're trying to put forward an ordinance that will keep people safe, but allow them to enjoy the golf carts that they want to enjoy. Our ordinance that we presented to city council, we didn't want them to we suggested initially that they not cross highways or arterial streets. Arterial streets are defined in our city code, but it's most of your big streets. It'd be like Ridge Road out in my side of town, the larger streets, and we suggested you not drive on those, because I think Captain Stevens found that over 60% of the accidents with golf carts happen on those arterial streets. And the concern, I think, about crossing is that you don't have lights on the sides of your golf carts. So that's a concern about crossing. However, we will be throwing that to council. They can debate whether they want to allow golf carts on arterial streets to cross arterial streets. Really, state law says that they can't drive on them, that you would just be allowed to cross them. And so we'll throw that to council and let them decide. We did suggest that golf carts display a slow moving vehicle emblem on it. That's what all the other cities have done. We suggested a $75 a year registration fee for a golf cart, and that you'd be required to show some sort of proof of insurance for your golf cart. We suggested that they not be allowed on sidewalks, walking trails, and bike paths. The concern there is on a sidewalk, if you have a golf cart on a sidewalk, it's the whole sidewalk. So if you have someone in a wheelchair on a sidewalk versus a golf cart, now we could make it to where the golf cart has to yield to them and get over, but now they're getting over in your yard if they're on a sidewalk. And then I can see people calling me complaining about tire ruts in their yard from the golf carts. But again, that's something that has not really been decided at this point, that we'll let council decide whether they can go on bike paths or sidewalks. That's definitely one of the debated items. We suggested that you be 18 years of age with a full license to drive golf carts. If we get complaints, mostly in the city, it's about kids. I know that we've heard from other areas where they really wanted to be 16, and I think that people are interested in that. I think the important thing is that they have a full license and not one of those permits, because there's no reason you'd be in a golf cart and a permit going to work. Mainly we want to keep kids out of golf carts, because that's when you have one kid, it seems like you have 6 kids draping off of a golf cart. And we really need to work to make this as safe as possible. So we suggested 18, but we know right now that everybody's debating perhaps taking that down to 16. We also require golf carts comply with traffic laws. So if there's a stop sign, they would need to stop. If there's an infraction for like a minor driving a golf cart or violating a traffic law with a golf cart, it would just be an infraction. It's not a misdemeanor. And you could be a fine up to $500, but it would be like getting a traffic ticket where you'd have a set fine that you could go in and pay, or you could set it for trial. So that's kind of where we are with golf carts. I'd say at this point, we're interested in your input. That definitely everyone's talking about, you know, what makes the most sense in terms of this ordinance. I know some people think that we were too restrictive initially, but just know the reason we're restrictive is we're concerned. We want to make sure people are safe, and we see a lot of unsafe behavior on golf carts right now, and we're just aiming to make it as safe as possible so people can enjoy them. Questions?
Questions from,
I didn't come up with the 60%, somebody.
Oh, sorry, someone. I got some stats in there somewhere.
questions from our district advisory board?
Actually, I have several. Our HOA or our neighborhood association, we need golf carts as compared to vehicles, trucks, whatever. It costs us astronomical amounts of money to keep them insured, yada, yada, yada. We need to be able to use them. I'm looking at buying them in a fleet sort of situation. How will that fall into play with that? I'm on the corner of Harry and Oliver. We will not be going across Oliver or across Harry, but Pershing, Boston, Bailey, we need to have access on those roads, which are 30-mile-an-hour roads.
Those are all 30, it would all be allowed.
They are.
Whether we keep it as is or change it, those would be fine.
And there is also sidewalks on both those roads in Oliver and Harry.
Yeah, but it's private property.
Right. How would that fall into play where we're private property?
If it's,
Well, on private property, you can be on your own private property, or you can be on private property that you have permission to be on. They're not allowed to operate it on private property that you haven't gained permission to drive on.
Right, but the sidewalks would not be ours. It'd still be city owned because that's all easement.
and if you want to use them on city sidewalks, you need to voice that, because the way it currently reads is no sidewalk would be allowed.
Right.
So
It's
would
only
you
mainly
like to
on
see
Harry
those?
that I see the problem because there's no room other than that. And Harry's got a wide sidewalk now that you guys built. It's beautiful. But it's also a racetrack. So that would be another thing we would look at. But I've been looking at golf carts anyway as compared to trucks and vans because it costs so much money. And just to upkeep the golf carts, cut our costs in half. And that's what I'm looking at. If we fall on that thing, that'd be great. I really don't know what else to
make sure that you're getting golf carts, which are defined as like 30-mile-per-hour vehicles.
Right, well, there's also the hybrids, there's electric ones and there's gas ones. Right now, we have an electric one that we use, we do pretty well with. But, yeah, we don't need speed demons. We want kids to be careful, adults to be careful on them. It's gonna be for maintenance use more than anything else.
Anything else from Dan?
In terms of the cost associated with operation and registering with the city, how did the city come up, I mean, not how, but what was the intent behind the $75 and also the insurance, I understand, because it's gonna be operated on roads that insurance might be needed, but the cost is a concern that I would have.
The $75 came from looking at other jurisdictions and how much they charge. We're gonna have a sticker. And we're gonna have people in the licensing department who will be in charge of licensing them. So we need some sort of fee to pay for their time to do that. Every time we add more work to their bucket, it's more difficult for them. There is some debate right now of whether it be a $75 one time, as long as you own it, and then if a new owner took over, then maybe it'd be a new $75. So those are the things we're debating. It just came up as it started out higher, and then some council members asked us to decrease it. And that's kind of where we ended up with 75. Part of that discussion, I will say, for me, working on golf carts actually started a couple years ago. Brian Fry was really in favor of golf carts, and we get with this every year and say, can you do something about these golf carts? And it wasn't that we weren't willing, it just never rose to the top of priorities. And then finally became a priority this year. That's how it came about. And we were talking about that registration fee. Now with the insurance, I don't know whether it have to be car insurance. Your homeowner's policy might be able to cover it. We just want to make sure that if you're in an accident, if you have a 16-year-old kid driving a golf cart and they run it into my car on the side of the road, I think they need to have insurance. That would be, I don't mean to advocate because it's really not my job to advocate for this. But the thought behind it is, if they run their golf cart into your car, their insurance should pay for the damage done to your car. It shouldn't be on the person who was legally parked on the side of the street or even in their driveway. I've had cases, I was a prosecutor for some time too. I've had cases where kids on those golf carts that go so fast ran it right into someone's car. And there's no way to cover that because insurance doesn't cover those. So we're trying to protect the citizens whose property might be damaged.
Minimum liability insurance, what you're talking about.
Any other questions from Dan?
I had a question. Can you hear me, Mike?
Yeah, we hear you.
In my hometown, which isn't even big enough to have a stoplight, but they drive golf carts all over the place. And a lot of times they're driving them with toddlers or infants in their lap or hanging on their arm. Is there any consideration? I mean, will a car seat even fit in a golf cart?
We suggested that they have to have seatbelts, but we've had a lot of people who disagree that they should have seatbelts. But we agree with, there was some concern over that same issue. So we are also debating, I'm sure council will be debating that as well, but.
Well, if a golf cart with an infant pulls out in front of me and I hit it, I'm going to feel pretty bad about killing a baby.
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Chairman.
Good to hear you, Janet.
Geneva?
What I was gonna ask about was insurance. And, so you are going, I mean, at this point, the thought is to require that the golf cart has some sort of liability insurance.
Yes. And I don't think that's been taken off the table. As we've debated all of this throughout different dabs, I think that's still part of it.
Do the golf carts that run around now adhere to the rules that we're proposing?
No, because they're all illegal. Anybody who's riding them now, if they're on a city street, it's-
That around other golf courses, they're everywhere.
no, they wouldn't, there's no regulation on them. On private property, they're allowed to go and there's no regulation in how they have to conduct themselves.
All right, now to the public.
Just to be clear, though, I think
The question you were asking are, golf carts around clubs. Is that right?
Yeah, I'm talking not on the golf course, but if you live near the golf course, then, and, I mean, all those people have golf carts, and they drive them, and they may be illegal, but they certainly do it.
Yes, they're illegal, so there's no requirements right now for them to have anything because they're not supposed to be doing it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really quickly before we move into public comment, is it the
I-
way this is supposed to run? One member is talking at a time. You have 5 minutes to speak. State your name before you start speaking. You can do it from there if you are more comfortable, or you can come and stand up at the podium, whichever you prefer. I believe you have the floor first. If you'd like to continue. You can state it. Yeah, okay, you're good.
Stephanie Pittman, 2820 North Wild Rose Court. And just for full disclosure, I've known Jan 20 some years, so we are friendly, and I want to make that clear. But just to give some context, so I live in Reflection Ridge. When I moved in there around 13, 14 years ago, we were told we could have golf carts if they were street legal. So, and we could drive around. At that time, the state statute did allow for golf carts to drive on streets that were 30 and less and not on arterial streets. So long as you were also able to drive at night if you had headlights and turn signals, we had brake lights. At that time, most people had very slow carts. I still have a 20-year cart that goes 10 miles per hour. A child that is on a bicycle that goes past me is faster. So I'm very slow. It doesn't go probably more than around 2 hours, stop and start before it dies. It's electric. It's just a gadabout cart that we only take typically in our neighborhood. So prior to the state statute changing around 2017, 2018, where it said that from here on out, under state statute, no golf carts unless the city ordinance allowed. So that's where the transition happened. That was not widely communicated. I did not know, and I'm an attorney. That's not a defense. I'm just saying, in my neighborhood, nobody knew that the state statute had changed. So just some context. Some of the things, use cases that we use our golf cart for is I decorate the golf cart and the only reason I haven't bought a golf cart was to decorate it for Halloween, drive around with my kids. Our neighbors get together, we visit each other. We take evening golf cart rides with our children. I go visit my best friend that lives a quarter mile away. Moved my parents into a contingent neighborhood that was golf cart drivable. So I go visit my parents. My 16-year-old will drive to the pool while I'm at work during summer. It's just a laid back, not fast, not fancy type of mode of communication or transportation. So when we heard about this change, it was via the news. It was on Cape News. We had no prior notice. It hadn't gone to a DAB. There had been no public communication, no stakeholder feedback. Nobody contacted our homeowners association. We did not know. So it appeared that the ordinance had gone to the city council on December 23rd for the very first time. It was pushed through for the first reading during the snowstorm on January 7th with no notice. And then the second reading was scheduled for last week. We did not know anything about it. So if we seem a bit forward about it, it is because of that. Let me tell you the impact this statute or this ordinance as written will have. This ordinance actually makes it illegal to drive at night. So no more evening driving for us. It still makes us have headlights, taillights, seatbelts, but you can't drive at night. So it's a very, very restrictive. No one under 18 can drive these golf carts. I heard the statistic that there had been 60 some incidents. I've never heard of a golf cart incident where there was a fatality or even really an injury here in Wichita as long as I have lived here. Now, bicycles or electric scooters that are allowed, those are not monitored, restricted in any way. And there's a lot of statistics about us that you can point to at any time.
Sorry.
I get 1 more minute now.
She said she gets extra minute.
So the second part of this statute or ordinance that is extremely limited is, in the ordinance, it calls for factory installed seatbelts. There is no golf cart factory that installs seatbelts unless you have a brand new $14,000 golf cart. You don't get them. And there's a couple reasons. If a golf cart tips over on a golf course, you don't want to be trapped in a seatbelt. And second, it just has never been an issue. It's important to note that this ordinance is written as the most restrictive in the United States. So you can look at Valley Center, Derby, Goddard, Mays, Florida, Texas. This is the most restrictive. So what we're asking for is just to utilize the template ordinances that are already written, that Mays or Goddard or Derby already has. Let's use those. There's a lot of kids that drive 16, 17, 18 who are in high school that drive golf carts to the golf course. They can't afford the amount that it costs to rent a cart each time they golf on public or on my course. And so they have their own carts and they golf in those. Crossing the arterial street, if this goes into play, no one who lives in any of our neighborhoods surrounding will be able to drive it to the course, whether that be Sims or Rolling Hills or Reflection Ridge or any of your public courses. It will stop all high schoolers from golfing. It will stop anyone who lives in a neighboring area. It really is so onerous that I really would ask you all to, especially, where you'll be impacted, just let the council know. Thank you.
All right, anybody else from?
Can I comment on what you said?
We'll come back to you guys after, because this will, there's some other questions.
You baited me, I got stuff to say.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Arnold at 4613 North Cimarron Circle. And my husband and I, we lived in Reflection Ridge for 19 years, had a golf cart the entire time we lived there. Just recently moved a little bit further north to a different subdivision. And so we still play golf. We've been members of the golf course, golf community at Reflection Ridge for all of these almost 20 years now. I'm on the board of the first responders board for our clubhouse, and we have all the first responders in and do a 9/11 tournament with them. Talking with one of the board of directors that I'm on there with, he's the general manager of Reflection Ridge for U Street, and we have 190 private carts that come into the course to play golf at any time. If this is allowed, we won't have 190 people able to drive their golf carts to play golf. Reflection Ridge has 50 golf carts. So you're talking a membership of over 400, not allowing their members to play golf anymore. And the way it's written now, won't even have accessibility to get there. We cross streets, we ride on sidewalks to keep it as safe as we can. And 190, I'm definitely not the minority. I'm the majority coming in that don't live now on site. So we're asking that you allow driving to the golf course on arterial streets and or sidewalks, crossing at lights, still using safety and smart and common sense, which we've been doing for 20 years without problem. I know people are concerned about traffic. I hear that comment. The amount of traffic on sidewalks. How will we know to yield to walkers or runners or bicycles? Common sense, one, I can't share that with everyone, but it hasn't been a problem. We've all been able to yield to walkers and bikers. But they are able to, we pull off the amount of traffic that one golf cart goes to the course at its tee time. It's not like 12 golf carts are going down the sidewalk to get there. So I that's not really, it's a kind of sounds fearful, but it's not really a real thing. Maybe one golf cart goes every hour or two. I mean, you know, it's just, and from all over the city, so, or all over the directions to get there. All of our women's club, I'm the president-elect of the women's golf club, or women's, the women's golf group. And all of our ladies clubs go till evening, 9 o'clock. So if the way it's written, we can't drive after dark. So everybody can get to the clubhouse, but you can't go home. So we gotta fix that. We have to be able to, all of our men and women's club, they have to be able to get home. We play till 9 o'clock on a great, you know, summer evening. So thankfully with the sun. The $75 fee, whatever, you know, if you need to add another fee for owners, that's fine. We don't think it's necessary. I would definitely say once per ownership. Like I said, I've had the same cart for, you know, 20 years and it doesn't need to be relisted every year. I mean, I guess we had two because we had a 05 and now we have a 2010. So let's see. Yeah, seatbelts are not really a thing. Anyways, I'm just asking that you take just some of the restrictions off. I understand kind of making it fearful because it's not well known on who's using the golf carts. None of us play golf with babies in car seats. We just don't. We have our golf clubs. And so I don't think that one's gonna be, I don't mean to be disrespectful. It's just not very practical to have that as a fearful thing. I didn't want it to be a fearful thing, so I wanted to address that. Nobody plays golf with like small children like that. And we are talking about golf carts. So I would just ask that we give them this consideration they've been using for 20 years. Let it be usable. And, you know, we still have bikes and electric scooters that are a lot faster. And we still let them use common sense as well. So, thank you.
Anybody else? Richard?
Richard Hill, 4555 Laura. I'm okay with the golf carts. I think if you're 16 and you got a legal driver's license, that's legal. I am in favor of a lap belt on them because you bounce off a curb, you do something stupid. We've all been kids, done a lot of stupid. It's about protection. There's pros and cons to it. But if they're gonna be on the city streets, I have to wear a seatbelt. They should have to wear a lap belt. And as far as the initiation of the fee, to begin with, the $75, I pay $17.50 every year to register my antique cars that I've got. And I'm okay with that on the golf cart deal too, but it should be something that can stay current all the way through and align themselves with the rest of our system that we have in place. So that's all I got.
Appreciate it, Richard. Anybody else? No? Good to see you. Look
We'll
rested.
see. I seem to be in the majority or the minority tonight. John Buck, 2029 South Erie. So I don't know where you guys, I don't know what your neighborhood is or what your neighborhood is like. But in my neighborhood, there are people who drive vehicles on the streets that should not be on the streets. And they're driving those items because they've lost their driver's license. So I'm seeing riding lawnmowers and bicycles with motors and, you know, lawn tractors. I every summer The lawn tractors come out and the people who've lost their licenses for whatever reason are making a beeline over to Burghart's to pick up their bottle of whatever and go back home. My concern with adding golf carts to this mix is we're giving one more traffic impediment. You know, there are neighborhoods where this is a good idea. If you live near a golf course and you're in a community that makes sense, it makes sense. But in my neighborhood, which I think is more like the vast majority of Wichita, it doesn't make sense to add another impediment to our streets. It doesn't make sense to add another thing that law enforcement is going to have to try and regulate. We have a shortage of police officers as it is. We're not going to be able to regulate this, no matter which decision we make. But I stand firmly against this because it's just adding one more impediment and one more unenforceable regulation to our city. I don't think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Anybody else?
I have a question. My name's Kelly Arnold. I live at 4613 North Vermont Circle with my wife here. Are we going to regulate lawnmowers then? I mean, that's.
Well, technically, the point is they already are. You can't drive a riding
Right,
lawnmower
and
down the street,
Right.
but the police can't enforce those.
Right, but if
They
they
don't have it.
right,
So now we're just adding on to the problem.
right, and if they enforce this law, they have to start, right? They
Well,
have to start enforcing it, and they don't
Just-
enforce it now.
they have to enforce it as it is.
I know, but they
Yeah,
don't.
that's
They don't.
for staff.
That's the point.
If there's questions for staff.
You're,
or staff.
you're welcome to share your opinion. We're not gonna get into a tip.
I got you. That's what I'm asking. Is we gonna start regulating that kind of stuff now too? And also, sorry. I was gonna ask you, how many complaints, those complaints you said you got all the complaints, how many of them were about percentage wise, if you can guess, were about kids versus adults? For driving crazy or whatever it may be,
Probably all.
all of them. Yeah, so that's the regulation is more about children driving than it is about all the other things going on, except he brings up a good point there. That's the first point I've ever heard that has not been about children driving crazy on streets. Even the lady on it's always about children instead of regulate. And so we're trying to regulate all this for a few of these situations. And I get the kids hanging off golf carts. I get that. That's not a good thing at all. But what we're saying is like we're saying, I can't get my golf cart I cannot get to the golf course with this, the way it's written. I can't get there at all. There's no way. I can't go on trail streets. The only thing, I'm 16, but I can't drive on the sidewalk. I can't do anything. I can't get there unless we loosen those restrictions. Cause you're right, man. There's a lot of people around the golf course that drive there. And so with the way it's written, it's actually much worse than, cause the police chiefs are there, they don't really write tickets right now. They don't write tickets for people. And we see them all the time. We see guys all the time wave at you and say, hi, how you doing? Because my golf cart doesn't have seatbelts. And by the way, seatbelts are a question mark because you fall over in one of them, you don't want to be in that golf cart because those batteries can fall on you and everything else. But having said that, we have everything on a golf cart that a car does, even a horn. And so people can see it. It's a lot easier to see a golf cart than it is a bicycle going down the road. And we were riding on 30 miles of bicycle streets now, bicycle lanes now. And so it's a lot easier to see a golf cart than it is a bike. So that's my point, is that it's so restrictive now that we can't get our golf cart to the golf course any longer if it's written, if it goes the way it is. And she did say they're changing some things and that's good, but anyway.
Would it be possible to add golf carts to the bike lane ordinance?
And we're gonna pause and just do a really quick decorum reminder. We have one speaker at a time. You get an allotted 5 minutes. When your 5 minutes is up, you yield the floor. We're not getting into tit for tat. That goes also for DAP. When you get the floor back, you don't just get to go back and forth about their arguments. You are commenting on your beliefs and what your opinions are. All of this is just so that our staff members can take feedback in and make the best decisions for the ordinance they are going to recommend to council. Like, we're not making a decision here tonight, so getting into an argument with each other, not going to solve anything. We are not back to DAB yet. We are still currently on public floor.
The general has spoken.
Kelly, are you still?
I mean, yeah,
Are you done? Okay. John, you had a couple more minutes if you would like to finish your time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if there isn't a compromise to be made here of allowing golf carts on bike paths. And giving them, you know, a lane through that methodology.
That's something we could look at.
I don't know if the bike paths go to the golf course or not, but, you know, maybe it's something we look at further down the road that we could improve the bike paths to do that.
I'll come to you here in a second when we're done with public hearing. Anybody else from the public? All right, we'll take it back to Dan, Mike, any additional
I was
questions?
late, so I apologize if I'm gonna bring something up that's already been discussed. But that analyst three about prohibiting on highways, streets with speed limits of 30 miles per hour in the city core. I live on Mount Vernon, which is 35 miles per hour. I wanna go to Dillon's and Harry and Edgemore, which is 40 miles per hour. How do I get there with a golf cart?
You don't?
You don't. Or you violate whatever regulation
Right,
are in
yeah.
place. Thank you.
Any other comments from that?
Comments. We're on comments.
Well, comments.
Yes.
Well, I have a question for the city attorney. If-
Okay.
Is it, I mean, this may be crazy, but is there a way to write the ordinance so that different rules apply in different I mean, if you're close to a golf course, could the rules be different than if you're not? I mean, that's kind of, I realize that would be a hard way
It's
to
not
write
crazy.
something.
Some communities do that in the country, not in the state, but yes, you can write it where golf carts are allowed within a certain distance of a golf course.
Would that not solve a lot of the problems? I understand what John is saying, that, you know, if you're not near a golf course and you've got a golf cart, I think it could create some problems. But, maybe if you could write it so that people that live in a certain perimeter of a golf course would have a different set of rules than people that don't. I don't know that.
Yeah, Stevens, did you have your hand? Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Going blind out of the peripheral, I think here. Anything else from that, Jared?
We didn't know the rules had changed either until I drove across Harry going to Clap. And then someone complained. And then I researched it and found out we weren't supposed to be on the streets whatsoever. I'm not against it being registered. I definitely think it should be insured. I'd like to, kind of what she was saying about the golf course, our neighborhood could utilize them in my little zone. They don't need to be on the public streets, but it could be very beneficial to us. The rules, I think, are, you gotta be licensed, you gotta be registered. And I think if you're 16 years old and you got a driver's license, that should be adequate for that. But that's just kind of my opinion of where I'm at with that. And I'd really like to see that pass, if we could use it, so it'd be a money saver for us, I believe. Just like my neighborhood, not on Harry, not on Oliver, but we do need access to cross it.
And I do believe Jan, correct me if I'm wrong. If it's like utility vehicle or work vehicle related, you can currently get a permit now. Okay.
You get those
At this
calls
time,
here,
it's all
those little
outlawed.
those work trucks,
Yeah,
and you're really not supposed to.
okay, well, learn something new every day, appreciate that.
We didn't know till we looked into it,
Right?
because the nun used to drive it all over Hilltop in her little Cushman. So we was thinking it was okay, but obviously not.
Well, nobody's gonna ticket a none, I hope.
Well.
All right, anybody else from that, Rick?
Just my thought is that in general, I don't like the idea of addition of new regulations if it isn't absolutely required. If it is added, it needs to be the minimum. And then the renewal in terms of the charges each year, I think that's too much. I think if it's gonna be there at all, it should be, pretty much you register and you're in the system, and that should be unless a change of ownership.
I'd like to add to that too. Our golf cart was actually stolen last year. They went in the shop, they took it out of there, they ran it till the batteries quit. It was bright yellow, so we was able to find it pretty quick, but registration would be valuable for that as well. Hopefully you guys don't have to find it, but you did for us. It was over off Edgemore, I believe.
Appreciate that. Anything else from Dan?
I just have two suggestions, Britt, that I think are in agreement to with my fellow bad members. I do think, it should be like, you should just have a driver's license, so 16 years old, because I'm 18, and when I was 16 and I got my license, I'm able to be on the highway with a 1,000-pound car, and I'm driving 60, 70 miles per hour. I think I would be able to also operate a 30 mile per hour, car. If I did, I would. But I think that would be helpful in alleviating some things. I think having a driver's license knows that you can maneuver a car and all those different things. And with the 30 minutes before and after sunrise, would like having headlights on your golf cart or some type of like the reflective type things on there. So, because I understand that would be like a safety issue, like if it's dark outside, it can be hard to see. But like if you had a golf cart with headlights on that, like would that help alleviate some of those issues? That's just a question I had. I didn't know that golf carts were out here like that. That's-
Anything else from that?
I was just gonna add that, thank you for sharing the benefits. For me, I was just focused on the safety and kind of just, very narrow-minded, to be very transparent. So it was very beneficial for me to hear kind of the evening rides and kind of the maybe traditional ways golf carts are used, and, the benefits for those that are just going to the pool, things like that. So I want to say thank you for that.
All right, anybody else?
Mike, I just wanted to say, I really like Jenny's proposal about if we could identify areas like Reflection Ridge. Obviously, Reflection Ridge does not have the same issues that neighborhoods in District 3 have. And once you open these floodgates, the same rules are going to apply, but we won't have any law enforcement in our neighborhoods. And our District 3 streets are not maintained at the same level, so they're much more dangerous than the streets in District 2 and District 5. So if there were any way to identify these areas, just like you've identified the core area as not being accessible, if we could say, Reflection Ridge, do what you want, same thing out east, I think we could make everybody happy.
Thank you for that, Janet. I appreciate it.
I have one more comment about
This way.
seatbelts. I don't know that I'm necessarily in favor of the driver having a belt, but I think if there are kids on that golf cart, they should be strapped in. My son has a golf cart and he lives out in Andover. And when we go to his house, his kids take the little kids for rides on the golf course in the golf cart. And he makes them strap in because they're gonna bump around. And I would think that would be critical if you're gonna have children, little kids on the golf carts. I'm not so gung-ho about the driver, but if you're gonna have little kids in there, I would think they should be strapped in somehow. It's just my opinion from watching what happens when I'm out there with them.
Thank you, Geneva. I appreciate that. Yeah, you'd have had a heart attack if you would have seen the Hoheisel kids out there when we were younger. Any other comments from Dan? All right, recommended action is to provide comment, and you guys did that. I will address 2 or 3 things here real quick. Councilmember Johnston, actually now Vice Mayor Johnston, brought this up. This is something he hears about quite a bit over in his district. I haven't heard anybody bringing this to my attention. You guys get on me about loose packs of dogs running the neighborhood. So it's kind of, we have district representation for a reason, and this is something that he heard. And a council member also can decide whether or not they want to bring it out to DAB, whether they want public comment or not. I think this is one of the first things that Councilmember Johnston or Vice Mayor Johnston has worked on. He admits he probably should have done more public input before this came to us. So this is democracy. We put it on hold. We're going out to listen to you guys, and we'll keep on working on this issue. And I think I think March maybe, is that when we're looking to bring it back, March? Okay, so yeah, here in a month or so, keep paying attention to the news and we'll find out how it all shakes out. So thank you guys all for providing comment on that and to the public who showed up this week.
Is there any way I could make a 2-minute statement? No.
Hang around afterwards
Okay.
or shoot them an email. Their emails are actually on the website as well. So if you want to shoot them an email with additional comments, that would be acceptable. That'd be fine. Okay, moving on. Mike, thank you for showing up. You got us a quorum here, so we can take action.
You want to see a picture of the nail I drove?
Our street sweepers missed that one, I'm
And
sure.
I do want to say one kind thing about AAA. They told me they'd be there at 8:10 and they got there at 10:07, so they were on the ball tonight. If you don't have a membership in AAA, you might want to consider.
I agree.
I agree.
Are they paying you for that? Do you get, this is broadcasted to like 5s and 10s of people here.
That's my personal opinion.
Paid my premium.
We save a lot of grief.
Yes.
So we will go back and we will go ahead and do approval of the agenda and approval of minutes and then get to our zoning case. So has everybody had a chance to look over the agenda and do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All right, do I have a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The ayes have it. Approval of minutes. Has everybody had a chance to look over the minutes? And Ricky will abstain from this vote because we were not here last time. So has everybody had a chance to look over minutes and are there any corrections? If none, I will accept a motion to approve.
Moved.
Do I have a second?
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. All opposed? All right, the ayes have it. Now we are on to new business, zoning case 2025-00001. Take it away, sir.
Thank you. My name is Brad Ederly, Senior Planner for MAPD, and I printed off the wrong report. So I apologize about that. I've got it on my phone, so that's fine, but it's not highlighted, which is also always nice when it's highlighted. So just forgive me if I kind of stutter through this a little bit. So in this case, we are discussing Con 2025-00001. And it is a request from the applicant for a conditional use to allow vehicle and equipment sales outdoor on property zoned LC limited commercial. It's a 0.29 acre property located on the northwest corner of East Mount Vernon Road and South Grove Street with the address of 2320 East Mount Vernon Road. The Sedgwick County Mobile Land Records indicates that this property has most recently been a vehicle sales lot. And so any former use of the outdoor vehicle and equipment sales would have been either non-conforming or legal. So this is a chance for them to conform to the code. Vehicle and equipment sales are exempt from providing a landscape street yard, but screening would be required for all uses except for single family and duplex from the abutting or across the street or alley from residential zoning districts. And this, if we can pull up the zoning map a little bit further down, it's kind of odd because it is abutting on all three sides. One more, I think. Yeah. The B is multifamily, or the brown is multifamily. The yellow is two family and this is single family, but you can also see a little bit of red right there. That's limited commercial as well. So we would essentially ask that the screening would be on the west, north, and east sides, even though technically it probably wouldn't need it next to that little LC portion. There is a chain link fence with barbed wire at the top that would not be legal, so we would have to have them include solid screening walls or fences. And the submitted site plan does show that the existing building is to be raised and replaced with a new 21-foot by 17-foot building. Approximately in the same space, yeah, thank you. So right there, kind of where the current building is placed. You can see that there is parking, for the spaces for both employees and customers. So they would have to adhere to the code for that as well. There would also have to be landscape buffers along the northwest and east side, along with that solid screening. So several improvements are gonna be made, if this is approved. We can go back to the zoning map. Kind of talk about the properties again. We've got property to the north, which is on TF3, two-family, developed with a church. The property to the east, that large property is zone SF5, and it's developed with I believe a middle school. Property to the south is zone LC, it's developed with a vehicle repair center. And property to the west is zone B, multifamily and LC, and is developed with a small office building. As far as the property itself, on March 2nd, 1887, it was platted as part of the Linwood Park Addition. And no other zoning cases are associated with the property. All municipal services are available. And it has access to both East Mount Vernon Road and South Grove Street. Wichita Transit does serve the site on the corner of East Mount Vernon Road and South Spruce right here, so very close by. As far as conformance to plans and policies, the proposed request is in conformance with the Community Investments Plan. The 2035 Future Growth Concept Map identifies the area as appropriate for commercial. And since this is a small lot that has most recently been used as a car lot, we feel like having it basically conform code is a good use for the property. It is also in conformance with the Wichita All Places for People plan. It aligns with strategy number 6, which encourages infill and redevelopment that is contextual to the environment in which it is occurring. We kind of feel like with the vehicle repair shop there and it previously being car lot, that's being taken care of. We can go to the site pictures first down. So this is looking north from Vernon towards the site. And this is looking east towards the site. This one's looking west from, what is it, Grove? Towards the site, and this is looking towards the middle school, east away from the site. We have a couple more pictures. This is looking southeast away towards a bingo place, and then looking southwest. That's not right. That's looking west away. This is looking south. There's two pictures of the same, that's the problem. So I think that we may have one more picture. Yeah, this is looking north at the church. This isn't, their site plan has this area listed as an alleyway. It's actually part of their property. And so we would have them change that site plan to make sure that it's not designated as an alleyway. It's not. So with that, we have not received any public comment, and we do recommend approval of the request. And that is, of course, based off the golden rules. So with that, I can stand for any questions.
All right, questions from Dad?
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
you sent letters to the surrounding homeowners, am I correct? Do those go to the homeowner or to the occupant?
They go to the homeowners,
Okay, and you had no response?
or property owners, I should say. We have not had any response.
I actually knocked on 9 doors yesterday and the day before, and I knocked on more than 9 doors. I talked to 9 people in an area around there. Not one of them knew what was going on. Now, you know, I'm sure, you know, you sent the letters. I'm not disputing that. But these people did not know of what was going on, and I personally would like to take a little more time and make sure that the people that are close to this know what's going on.
Sure, and we follow state statute, which requires us to reach out to property owners. I don't know how many of those people are renting or whatever. But we do send out the proper notification to the proper distance. And that's what we're required to do, and that's what we follow. So.
Yeah, and I don't dispute that at all, but I think that this being there is going to affect a whole lot bigger area than the people that you sent letters to. And I would like to be able to, myself or somebody else, contact them to have them have some input into this. That's my.
And that's fine. And we also do, I don't know if you can see in one of those pictures, I think that the sign was visible. So we do have them put a sign on each street frontage. So for this case, there would be 2 street frontages, or there would be 2 signs, one on Mount Vernon and one on Grove. So those are there as well.
They are there?
I believe so.
I've been by there 8 times and I didn't see them. I wasn't looking.
Yeah, and I think that I have them, I don't know if you can go back to the pictures.
They're not in the
I think
pictures.
there's at least one that's
Alright.
visible.
I can do that, but you guys can't make any more comments. They can't both share that and do the minute taking, so. Let me pull this up. We'll take that.
Yep, there's at least one right there. I don't see one on this side, but I didn't get the complete front side, but I do see the one at least, so.
And we can discuss that when we get the motions later on. Anybody else from DAB?
Well, my question is it 200 feet from the property that you have on?
I would imagine with this, I don't have the distances memorized, but with this one, I would believe that it's small enough that it's a 200 foot
Schools
radius.
across the street, so that eliminates a lot of property.
Mhm.
that belongs- Okay, thank you.
And the bingo parlor is on that
And-
other
and the
corner,
garage is
so.
on- And the garage is on the other corner, so there are not a lot of living houses that are approachable. Thank you.
Anybody else from that? We'll come back for discussion. Anybody from the audience? Same process as before. You can ask questions, but also included in your time is your statement as well. Larry, you want to come up here or you want to?
Back here.
Okay.
Larry Lane, 2035 South Erie. My concern is the repair shop across the street, the same owners that are asking for the car lot that we're requesting today.
Sorry.
Are they the ones, the applicant and the agent connected with the garage across the street?
No, I do not know who the owner of the
Okay.
garage is. I can
They
tell you-
are in the present time repairing cars right now. So I assume they're the ones that need the car lot across the street. Now,
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if the garage at the present time is in good standing.
As far as I know, it is.
We can
How
take,
do we find that out?
we can take a look at that.
Pardon?
I said we can take a look at that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would not
I
be
would-
his area.
Pardon? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just concerned because I know the person there, I had trouble with my door and he repaired it, got it all in track. And so I know that, I don't know his name, but I know he is foreign. And so I assume they're wanting the car lot to fix up cars and go over. I just wondered if they're in good standing where they are right now with the Business Bureau, everything, so that we're not getting something in here that somebody in the neighborhood would buy a car that was not fixed appropriately. Okay,
So as staff, we're really kind of limited to kind of looking at the property in question. And I don't know if the people below, to the south are the owners and the applicants for this. But it's not really in our purview to kind of go beyond the property in question, so. And as far as like any kind of Better Business Bureau, we don't take a look at anything like that, so.
I just didn't know. Just a question.
And I can tell you the applicant, his name, for what it's worth, is Mohammed, and then I'm gonna mess this up, sure,
Yes.
Johnny. Yeah, it's always nice when they're here. Apparently, they're not here today. Because if you have questions that I can't answer, they would be able to. So I apologize for that.
Anybody else from the public? John?
On this lot, this particular lot, if you look at the county tax record, it says it's already a car lot.
Yes.
Which is odd if it's not permitted to be. I agree that having the church to the north, having the Raceway Electric to the east, having the car lot or the car fix-it place to the south, school to the west, it's not going to affect housing in that area. My concerns would be more along the line that this was built in 1951 as a gas station. Do we know were the gas storage tanks ever removed from that? Is this something that's gonna become when they start scraping that lot to redo it, do we know, has anybody ever checked to see if they took the tanks out? This could turn into a huge mess.
So I can tell you for these purposes, we're really only concerned about land use and planning and zoning. If they're going to tear that building down and rebuild, they'll have to get a building permit. And there will be certain things that they have to look at environmentally. I don't know if they'll have to take a look at and see if there's old tanks, storage tanks underground or not. But that will be something that will be brought up if
Gotta be in
needed.
somebody's due diligence somewhere.
Yeah.
The other thing would be on your solid screening.
Yes.
I would not want to see that on the east side where the school is, because they've changed the traffic pattern around the school this year. So we've got a lot of cars going up Grove in the morning and in the afternoon. Other cars coming down Grove if you've put a solid screen there, you're not gonna be able to see the traffic on Mount Vernon coming east. And that could be problematic.
Okay.
So you might want to look at that.
So right now it's required. It's something that, as DAB, they could recommend waiving that requirement, as part of their motion, but it's not something that we can just, arbitrarily remove as a requirement.
But for consideration, DAB board, that might be something you guys want to look at, when we get further down the road with this. As long as it's a well-maintained, well-run business, yay, hooray, let's have good businesses.
And I apologize that I didn't get your name and address, please.
John Buck, B-U-C-K, 2029 South Erie.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Oh, George.
I'm the current president of Mead Neighborhood, 2115 South Chautauqua. And,
Your name?
It's George Neal Harris.
oh, thought he was a psychic. Sorry about that. But anyhow, so, in the past, there's been we're saying it's already zoned for car lots. So what are we even talking about? What's it been?
Yeah, so it has been used as a car lot most recently. If it has been used as a car lot, that's how the Sedgwick County Mobile Land Use Records have it listed as. If that's the case, then it was either illegally being operated as such, or it had been kind of grandfathered in. It's what we call legal non-conforming. So it's not conforming to code, but it's legal because it was started before the code was in place.
Well, I would ask that whoever the president is of the neighborhood, which that could change in February or this month, we have our elections, that whoever moves in there stays in contact with them, because across the street, we've had all kinds of problems, not so much with this new owner, but with the last owner. They had cars everywhere on the sidewalks, and in MABCD and the police, every neighborhood meeting, we were talking about it, and nothing, it seemed like nothing, it was very slow.
Sure.
So I would like some wording in there to notify the neighborhood president, the neighborhood, the me neighborhood, and give them a number, and if we've got a problem, let's talk it out, let's get it fixed before MABCD or before the police get involved, and I think that would go a long way.
Anybody else from the public? All right, we'll bring it back to Dab. Jerry had a question or?
This gentleman brought up two issues that I'm pretty sharp on, the environmental concern, that was working for years and years, wasn't it? When they drop in hazardous waste of all sorts over there possibly.
Couldn't tell you for
Who
sure.
knows? And then as far as the screening goes, you're coming over the canal route or the big ditch right there. So that would be a thing. If you put a big wall there, they can't see, that could be very bad. Cause you'd be coming down the big hill right there. That's just my thoughts.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I would like for the owners to be at a meeting so we could ask some questions about what their intent is. I mean, if it's gonna be I'm assuming used car lot, won't there have to be repairs done and that sort of thing? So would that not create some issues if it's not done properly? And can we not ask them those kinds of questions?
You can move to delay for a month. That's up to the DAB to vote. You know, they can vote to approve, deny, conditions like John was talking about as well. So if anybody feels the need to make a motion, that's always in order.
You can't delay the planning process. When does this go to council?
I don't have that off the top of my head, but I'm gonna guess it's gonna be middle to late March, because it's usually about a month after planning commission.
Hold on, I'll pull up the data.
But Amaya, go ahead.
I did have a comment. I don't know how like easy it is to like kind of like change or waive conditions and stuff like that, but I am also concerned about the screening area. Cause I live on South Grove, and so I've driven down Grove and down Mount Vernon, and I'm concerned because kids walk a lot from school and to school, and sometimes it's hard to see around those corners, and I just don't want that to be an added issue, because it could be hard to see if somebody's coming down Mount Vernon or something.
So this is a conditional use, and so one of the conditions, and DAB could make this recommendation to the city council. And then that, at the city council meeting, it could be decided to either take your consideration or not. But you could ask to recommend, let's say you recommended approval with the restriction of, the condition of no solid screening on the east side. That could be something that you could recommend.
Thank you. This is going to council on the 18th of March. So we do have a DAB meeting prior to that.
That's the evening meeting, yes.
Okay.
I'll be there too.
Oh,
State of the
you're level
council.
for punishment, huh?
No, it's gonna be great.
All right, so we're looking to DAB for a motion.
I would move that we bring this back next month, and if somebody could request the owners to be here so that we could ask questions.
Okay, well, so we have a motion to defer until the March meeting. Is there a second?
I could second that. We need to look at it.
Do we have a
I have
second?
environmental concerns as well. With vehicles, we dumping oil, and they said, I know the Orkin is over there and gas pumps, and we need to know what's going on.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor of delaying this, deferring it to the next meeting, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? All right, the ayes have it, so 6, Oh, Ariel. Oh, hey Ariel, how are you doing?
And can you tell me?
I'm good.
What's the date? We want
Day.
to know for the next 18.
3/18, or sorry, 3/5.
45. All right, thank you. All right, thank you, guys.
I appreciate it.
Have a good night.
All right, let's give a cleaners a round of applause here. Thank everything. All right. Everybody's second favorite part of the meeting, right? Right before it's over. Thank you guys all for being out here again. How's the baby doing, Ariel?
Oh, she's great. She had her first shots today, so she's kind of being fussy.
I remember that. Try and get as much sleep as you can in the meantime, right? Did we wake you from a nap?
What nap? What is that?
All right, thank you for being here. Okay, so it's been a couple of months since our last meeting. January's meeting we canceled because we had no actionable items, so it would have literally been listening to fire, listening to police.
Fire and library weren't even available. We would have just watched a Zoom of police.
Okay, so we did cancel that meeting, not a lot going on. So in the 2 months since, just a little breakdown of some things that have happened on council. We did end up passing the homeless ordinance, encampment ordinance. It passed on a 4-3 vote. We had a good discussion about this the last time. I was under the indication that it was gonna be separate votes on separate pieces. Instead, it got wrapped into one big vote. I did vote against it. I voted against it because we did not have a lot of information. We haven't gone through the process of reaching out to different groups who had stakes in this item. Again, a lot of the good things, there were some good things in there. I had been working on the private property aspect of it, that one I do support. But again, we've already ran into some issues as far as it not being complete. We've ran into some issues with the state on what parts are ours to enforce and what parts are theirs to enforce. Issues with, again, providers, talking to people who operate in this hemisphere. So, again, I voted against it 4-3, but it just seemed rushed to me, and that I wanted to go back out for more input and also to come up with more of a process. We are looking at some aspects of homeless court, ways we can streamline the process to get people. How are you gonna ticket somebody who has nothing? How are you going to put somebody in jail who is homeless and it doesn't matter to them at all? So coming up with the process to actually help the people get to where they need to be, that's always the first thing on my mind, apart from safety. So that ordinance is law now, went into operation on January 13th. So we'll see how it goes. I do have faith in our hot team and PD that we're not gonna be thugs about this, go around and just indiscriminately up in a lot of these places, because that has detrimental consequences outside of the camp as well. You bust up one big camp, it becomes a lot of smaller camps, and then it starts moving more and more into the neighborhoods. So you take down one camp, it doesn't mean it just disappears, we're just moving it to other places. We continue to, right now the MAC is an emergency shelter. We are doing work on it as far as working on the office space to get calm care in there, to get a lot of the mental health advocates in there, to get a lot of people who work with addiction as well in there. So we're gonna keep building this out and keep making it a place that can ultimately help people. It's a long process. We didn't get here overnight. We're not just gonna wave a magic wand and be through this issue overnight, but we are moving in the right direction as far as how we deal with the issue of how many people we have living on the streets right now. We are also, I've been testifying a couple more times about some housing bills up in Topeka, giving us the ability to inspect homes that we know are not meeting code, especially with people who are repeat offenders, AKA slumlords, which we see all through our district. There's also housing bills that we are working with. I don't think this will come up this year, but there's one that is an Air Property Act that I've been helping the housing committee on as well, to where when a person passes away, if there's not a direct person to inherit the house. And then there's a process to streamline, how long it takes to get it to somebody. So we set a limit, all interested parties, it would have a, not a negotiation process, but kind of a process set out, a mediation process with a lot of the stakeholders, because sometimes there's cousins involved. Not all the children are always on the same level, not all children were present in their lives. So it's called Arabs Property Act, and it's to help address a lot of the vacant homes. We heard Fire talking about it earlier, how many vacant homes we have in our district. People go in there, they squat, they set fire to it. This is fire season. If you smell something in here, 90% of the time, it's not somebody sitting around there, their wood chips or anything in the backyard. It's a house burning down. So hopefully we can move those bills along. I think there's 2 of them that'll actually get a hearing this year. Another one dealing with evictions and sealing eviction records after a certain amount of time, so people don't continue to have this on the record. If you've been taking care of business the last 2 or 3 years and keeping a clean slate and paying your rent on time, this will give you an opportunity to actually build back up and get to other places aside from where people have the opportunities to live now, which again, is a lot of these slumlord areas. So Topeka's looking at a couple of those bills, and it's been a pleasure to work with them on this. It's bipartisan. I'll go ahead and Leah Powell and Sadie Howerton, representatives down south from here, they have been great working with on this bill, or on these bills. At the end of the month, we've talked about this quite a bit here, the opioid settlement money. We are going in with county to maximize the actual effects. Combined, we have about $1 million a year over the next 13 years that will be coming in. So at the end of this month, we have an en banc where we sit with county, and this is going to be the topic, is how to utilize this money, what programs we want to put it in. Is it going to help with the MAC and some of the addiction counseling we have down there? Are we going to look at medical detox, which is something that we are lacking in our community right now? So at the end of this month, again, you can watch it on YouTube. They're en bancs. They're usually just long drawn out. If you think this one governing body is just overly boring and insufferable, wait till you get 2 or 3 of us together. It's a real hoot. So, but I would recommend tuning in and just seeing the direction we go in with that. And if you guys have any suggestions too, like what gaps you see in the community, personal experience, family members, whatnot, what are we missing? What are the gaps in our community that we need to plug with this funding that comes in? Clap Park, we are waiting for it to be a little better weather here to finish the sod and then to finish the surface. It continues to get built out there. If you drive by on Harry, you see it just going up and up. I can't wait for this to get open. Maybe some issues with the parking lot on the dog park. We are working through that as well. I see but we'll continue to work on those issues. And again, I can't wait for the big groundbreaking ribbon cutting, because I just can't wait to see kids out there playing like kids should. And inclusive playground. Again, you shouldn't have to drive halfway across the city to take your child to be able to go play. They need to be able to play and just live and be kids like every other kid. So can't wait for that to finish. We had the drive-in. I did extend the loan to the drive-in. 2 years ago, I extended the loan. I gave them a 2-year pause on it, on paying back. They did take the loan out before from the city, from our Hyatt funds. Before 2020, before COVID. The film industry hasn't fully recovered yet. Who knows if it's ever going to fully come back. But the drive-in is one of our landmarks here in the South Side and the city of Wichita. It's an award-winning drive-in. I want to plug it as much as I can. So, not only AAA gets a plug here, but everybody go out and see a movie or 2 at the drive-in. It's I did talk about it, the carload nights. Growing up with how many siblings I had, that was the way we were able to go and enjoy and see movies. So, and also you can be as bad as you want right there in the area, and you're not going to get kicked out of the movie. So, so we get $50,000 this year, and then they will be paying back the rest over a 6-year period, up to the $200,000 that they owe. So again, it was to help them out a little bit, give them a little more cushion, keep the drive-in up and running, and we'll be able to allot that money to worthwhile causes as it comes in. 29th and Grove, we are just about done securing all the funding that we need. I know we talked about environmental concerns earlier. 29th and Grove was just a horrible incident with the railroads washing out their cars and putting all this chemical in the people's well water. The plan that we are coming up with will allow us to help with testing, purchasing equipment for some of the clinics around here to actually do the testing, secure another allotment of money to help pay for the testing. But then also this serves as a template and an opportunity for the other 208 spill sites, toxic sites around the county, 208 total. So the plan that Councilmember Johnson has come up with, along with Ryan Beatty, a county commissioner, would allow us to not only address 29th and Grove, but have the opportunity to do that other times over as we look at the impacts of a lot of the other chemical spills. A lot of them have been cleaned up. A lot of them are currently in the process of being cleaned up. We also don't know the full impact of every site yet. So as it comes up, as more information comes available, hopefully we'll be able to just again streamline the process and get people into the testing that they actually need. Evening meeting is coming up, March 18th. Last one went from 6 o'clock in the evening until 1 o'clock in the morning, 1:30 in the morning. So if you guys like baseball around the clock, you know, legislation around the clock as well. But we did start this policy of doing it once a quarter. So the public can come, because a lot of people work 9 o'clock in the morning on Tuesdays. Now half the time nowadays, we're still going after you get off of work. So you still have an opportunity to come down, but I invite you all down just to see how it all works. You always can go back and watch the meetings on YouTube as well, but being there in person, it's a whole different experience. So if you guys are sitting around that day and you want something cool to do, bring some popcorn, whatever you guys want to do. I'd love to have you guys there. The last thing is we did have the plane crash about a week ago. There aren't as many people on that flight from Kansas as we originally feared, but they're not going to be releasing the flight manifest and all of the names anytime ever. From what it sounds like, it's American Airlines policy, and then the National Transportation Safety Board, they are not going to release names as well. So we've been keeping count as best as we can, and we're down to about 10 names that we don't know yet. But I think the last count we had about 8 people from Kansas. But our hearts really do go out to everybody. There were a number of ice dancers and their families there from the National Ice Dancing Competition the week before or the weekend before. The crew on the plane, the crew that we unfortunately flew into. There's a big group of hunters from out east who came out to go hunting out by Great Bend. Our thoughts are with everybody. You know, every single person that was on there, all the family that's grieving right now. I knew at least one of the people on there. You never know when you wake up, and we've seen a lot of loss here in our district over the last couple of months in our city. And so you just never know when you wake up. And just, it's a reminder for us all to just take advantage of all the life that we can while we have the chance. So again, our thoughts are and prayers are with all the families and impacted people. And I'm proud of our community because we've really come together to support people and move our community forward. Any questions, Dad? You guys are taking it easy on me.
The Crown.
Oh, Crown Uptown, yeah. Okay, so we denied the zoning change for the Crown, or they wanted up around 2,000 people to be able to go into the Crown. That number wasn't even feasible by the fire marshal standards. We ended up denying the zoning request. If you guys are familiar, the property owner had said, well, before this, if we don't do the zoning change, he's gonna knock it down. We'll see what happens from here forward. I know we're looking at what all options there are from our end. I hope he just sells it to somebody who wants to do right by it. That neighborhood couldn't have taken an additional 1,000 vehicles or 1,000 people walking in there. If you guys have ever been there, you gotta hoof it a little bit as it is, and I'm fine walking. It's just, if you have cars parked in front of your house all day long, up and down the streets, it's an accessibility issue. I know our fire department always has concerns about packed streets like that, being able to get their rigs in and out. So we did vote to deny it. It was unanimous. And so we'll see how it shakes out from here. Any other questions from Dad? Any questions from the public? You guys are really trying to give me a birthday today. It's a month past. Yes, ma'am.
I do have questions about the hazmat site. You stated, and I'm quite surprised that this will serve as a template plan for 209 different pollution sites. So would the city support paying for the large equipment, the testing equipment for each
Well,
of
it's-
those, or vouchers?
No, the plan is, and most of this funding is coming from the state. 2.5 million total. The city's thrown in 125,000, and the county's thrown in 125,000. And then the Health Foundation has thrown in at least 500,000. So this is a collaborative effort across all the governments. Yes, the plan that Commissioner Beatty and Councilmember Johnson came up with is to purchase the equipment for a lot of the clinics who have already been doing the testing for free. And then come along later and try and find other funding sources for whenever other sites pop up. So, it's mostly the state's money that that we're using with it. And it's gone back and forth. We've had to work out with some of the state representatives and senators, the governor's office as well. So that's essentially the plan. And all these 208 other sites, it doesn't mean that people are getting cancer from these sites or anything. It's just a concern. West Siders, you guys have a lot of well water. You guys had dry cleaners who were just dumping their chemicals into the well water. I think it was more off of Maple Street though, but like I said, a lot of these concerns, there's other sites down south here. This building was actually built to address chemical spills a couple of years ago and clean our water supply. So it's an issue. It's going to be an ongoing issue moving forward. And we just want to make sure we have a process set up to address. And you can't just test one time. And that was the issue with the money. They wanted to give us the money and do testing. And we can do it and we can test until the money's gone, and then what? Because we have to be able, it's just because you have a clean test this time doesn't mean you're not going to have something arise in the next 2 or 3 years as well. And so just setting up a process to where we can come back and use it time and again, as opposed to just using the money one time, getting it out the door, and then we're standing here just not able to address the needs of the community. Janina?
Past my turn, but was there a homeless site that was cleared out somewhere around
Under
the
the highway?
canal route?
Yeah.
East of the canal route on the east side? Okay, because I went by there, I'm not by there, but I'm close to it, and I saw a mountain of black trash bags there.
Yeah.
And so that's what it was, I assume so.
And that comes back to the homeless ordinance that we passed, because when we were looking at clearing that camp, that is actually the state's responsibility. Because it's KDOT, it's an underpass. They're the ones who are supposed to be, and they are not wanting to, I guess, would be the polite way of saying that. They have bigger fish to fry. So we had to get an MOU with them. We had to go through all this red tape. Again, the homeless ordinance, the encampment ordinance wasn't as thought out as we would have hoped, or else we could have identified issues like that popping up. But yes, that one did get cleared here 2 or 3 weeks ago. And we waited until after the deep freeze. You know, we made sure to, again, do this as humanely as possible. John?
On the homeless topic, you know, we've had that large, I mean, some of the stuff that the homeless, it's not homelessness, it's colonization. I mean, they are building structure with doors and windows and walls. I don't know if you've looked across from Chapin on the other side of the
Yeah, I
river.
know where you,
I
yeah.
mean, they're driving trucks down there with building materials and building things. And that's, on that particular area, I don't have such an issue because it's not an area people are really using.
Right.
But Sim Park, they were doing the same thing. And Sim Park, I mean, I was walking my dog and I was told to leave.
Yeah, and that's why,
This guy says, what are you doing here? I'm walking my dog. Well, you need to get out of here.
and that's why we're trying to be, as smart about this as we can, because what you've identified, you're closed in by the sewage treatment plant on the east, the highway on the north, and the river on the south. So it's a large camp. And you're right, I mean, it's almost like going out to Kansas settlements out there sometimes.
Yeah, it's
Somewhat, sometimes I go through there and sometimes it's, you gotta respect the ingenuity of some of these people, but.
well, but you have to wonder, okay, where are the windows coming from? Where are the doors coming from? You know, where are these building materials being acquired?
Yeah, and there will come a time to deal with that one. But right now, if you break a big one up like that, you're gonna have 20 other pop up, so I hear you, it's interesting going down there for sure.
I was overhearing as I was walking the dog, you know, one of the guys is saying, yeah, my last gun got stolen, I need to get some more. Like, great, this is, you know, it's not a good situation. And I'm more concerned about Sim than I am the sewer treatment.
Yeah, there's a little bit of
Disturbed me a great
self-regulation down there, they try and keep it to where a lot of the bad elements don't stick around because they know that if that happens, then it gets taken care of. So they do try to self-govern a little bit there. Larry?
Are the homeless allowed to pitch a tent in Linwood Park?
No.
Okay, it's been there probably about a couple, 3 days now. In other words, it's like they've set up, it's the restroom that is close to I-35.
Okay.
And it's right on a
North
little,
Linwood.
yeah, north.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. But it is there and it's been there for,
Well, and there's been the two under the underpass there at Pawnee. You know, and they've been there for a year.
Yeah.
But they don't cause any trouble. I mean.
yeah,
it's-
I'm just asking, since, it's there by the school, coach,
Yeah.
fairly.
Okay, yeah, we'll have them go out and take a look at that one.
You can see it from I-35,
Okay.
orange.
Ones under the overpass at Pawnee were actually bounced like 3 days ago, Friday.
Oh, those other two.
Are they? I thought I just saw them this morning.
And they've moved back already.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise
She's had her hand up for.
Oh, no, it's okay, it's okay. Am I allowed to give a comment?
Yeah.
Okay, this is gonna totally divert the conversation, but especially if you have any youth that might be interested in leadership or like politics, local government, those things, please come to the evening city meeting because I'm the current youth mayor of Wichita and I'll be giving the state of the Mayor's Youth Council and what we've been working on. We have a lot of great projects going on this year. Mayor's Youth Council is like a civic service, civic engagement, leadership development organization, and it's all basically completely youth-led and driven. And so we're just giving an update to the council of what we worked on this year and what we're doing. We also are planning to go to National League of Cities, not National League of Cities, but in DC.
Yeah,
the
yeah,
congressional
I'll see,
one.
yeah.
So we're just trying to share more about NYC. NYC is like freshmen through seniors to high school age, but even if you have middle schoolers,
I know the city just started their LEAD ICT program, which helps develop leadership skills that then help streamline into the mayor's youth council and things of that nature. So if you have any youth that might be interested in that, or if you just want to see what your leaders are up to, your youth leaders, please come to the Union City meeting. So,
I'm getting outranked in my own.
I was about to
DAP
say,
meeting.
since you guys got to plug the drive-in and AAA, I want to plug NYC.
Derek?
He said something about the sewage system. I seen on Facebook today, when we gonna get the lid for that?
Later this year, they're gonna start coming in. We are also, I talked about the biodome as well to collect, the methane that comes out. So we have an RFP coming out for that as well.
It was
So-
posted today on Facebook.
What's that?
It was posted today on Facebook, something about
Yeah.
they started it or something.
Our communications team just wanted everyone to remind everybody that that work is ongoing. There's not been any major change. It's just that the work is continuing. We are in the process.
We took a group of our state legislators down and Jim Howell, our county commissioner as well, to take a look at it. Again, over 90% of the odor gonna be taken care of. I'm trying to get it as soon as possible, but it will be, the completion of the project will be, of the odor control aspect of it will be summer of 2026. But there will be leaks in between, because we'll be putting those big lids on as it comes along. And also replacing a lot of the seals in the process out at plant 1, which is by Joyland. So we'll be addressing that odor as well. So yeah, no, talk about it all you want. We're finally getting rid of that.
Put a lid on it.
That's a campaign slogan there. All right, well, anything else, anybody? Okay, thank you all for being here today. I believe Mrs. Pittman would like to chat with you guys if you want to hang out. If not, cookies, please take the cookies. I obviously don't need any more, so please take all of that temptation away from me, and I hope to see you guys here in a month.
You need a motion to adjourn?
I almost did a perfect meeting, Mike. Thank you for reminding.
We're going to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Hi.
All right, all opposed? The ayes have it. Everybody drive home safely.